This comes to you from the Journal of Minister Matthew Forbes, the adventures of a struggling artist mixed into the world of mysticism and dark arts. Aside from battling my inner demons, I find myself matching wits with demonic and angelic forces. What can I say? You don't choose the mystic arts, it chooses you. So if you see me in the cemetery, just know I'm trying to save a soul, and next time it might be you. Open the gates of your mind, the damned saint has arrived.
You're probably wondering how I got here, inside this tiny archaic jail cell, all the way down in Nazca, Peru. In the previous episode, I time traveled and met a man named Fugit. He obtained a painting that held a hidden map to a treasure. Unfortunately, on the arrival of our train, Fugit was able to give me the painting, and upon exiting, a rival of his shot and murdered Fugit in cold blood. I had to decide to either chase after the killer or fulfill Fugit's wish to recover the treasure, whatever the treasure might be. I discovered the map led to South America, Nazca, Peru to be exact. I had to use a lot of Google Translate and spent much of my savings on the journey. I would say it was worth it. I was able to find the treasure. I had to hide it before I could return home. Unfortunately, because I was a suspicious foreigner and was seen trying to do some excavation in the land near Nazca City, they locked me up, and it's been 1 week now, and I have no way of contacting anyone to find me. Not even sure a thing such as posting bail in Nazca City will exist. So that's why I'm here. Sadly, the only other prisoner here besides me doesn't seem to speak any English. So I've been rambling to him for an hour, and he still has the same puzzled look on his face. And actually looking over to see him now, it looks like he's fallen asleep. I know my voice is soothing, but I thought this was a captivating story. Not having much else to do, I realized I needed to focus my mind and spirit, and even though I can't contact anyone in a conventional method, I decided to take the quiet time to get into a deep meditative state and reach out to my ethereal friend, Politan. After nearly 20 minutes, I was able to become lucid and exit my physical body and enter the astral realm. It took some effort because you can't just phone a friend in the astral realm, so I had to send out a beacon of energy. Luckily, Paul materialized near me and looked around to see my environment was a tiny dank prison cell. What kind of trouble did you get yourself into now, Mr. Matt? Well, my friend, remember how I told you I was going on the journey to find Fugit's treasure? Well, I found it, but I raised suspicion with the locals, and they threw me in this chamber of tedium. The treasure, it's hidden until I can get out of here. I'm not sure how, Paul, but I need your help. Well, I'm not sure exactly what we can do. We'll have to figure out something. I can't let you rot in there. I'm pretty sure when you get back home, there is a wedding and a funeral booked for you next week. Paul ended his sentence, then stood there in contemplation. After a few moments of trying to devise a plan, I decide the best thing to do in these situations where I don't have an answer. Yet I begin to reminisce on good times. But of course, knowing me, my good times are often bizarre and unfamiliar to what most would deem a good time. Hey Paul, do you remember that time when we were teenagers and we took that drive with those two pretty young ladies? I believe they were sisters. Oh yeah, how could I forget? Said Paul with the reply that was taking his attention away from our problem and bringing him back into his memories. I remember you pulled a kind of magic trick to get us fuel to leave town. How did that happen again, Matt? Well, from what I recall, I had very little gas in my 1991 red Chevy Corsica, and the lovely Julia wanted to go on an adventure with her sister and a friend of mine, because, you know, when you're in your teens, you want to always have a friend for your friend. They wanted to drive pretty far, a few cities over, to explore the abandoned asylum. I guess a lot of people would break in there, and they had always heard about it, but never got to go. I didn't want us to risk getting caught because the state police patrol there a lot. Because of all the people that break in there to steal the copper. Remember? Well, she wanted me to stop for a lighter at the convenience store. At first I was worried I wouldn't have enough gas to travel back and forth, but I noticed a car pull up and it was an acquaintance of my mother's. No one noticed, but I went over and asked to borrow $10 of gas. Of course, back in 2010, the gasoline was far cheaper and $10 could actually get you through the trip. So I felt like a manifesting genius because I walked up to Julia with money to put in the tank. Her surprise was a beautiful feeling, one you want to hold on to in your heart forever. And I kept my secret and left it to appear as if I conjured what we needed. Bro, that was so crazy, dude. Even as I was shocked at that turn of good luck, it was a true wizardly moment for sure. Paul was also caught up in the reverie of the past. So what I remember next is we were driving that long dark road that leads to the asylum, and I can't recall the music playing on the radio, which is ironic because I usually can't remember the environment in those situations. Music is always a special mystical gateway. But what started to happen took up all of our attention. Suddenly I noticed a terrifying shadow that was cast from what appeared to be the roof of the car. It looked like a classic depiction of the Grim Reaper. Flowing cloak and everything was looming down on us. I didn't want to alarm anyone in the car, but knowing even back then that you, Paul, and I were both extremely intuitive, and you made me aware that you were seeing the same thing. You know, we didn't say anything to the young women in the car, but I kept driving on. And then, to take the situation to the next terrifying level, my headlights began to black out. We would drive half a mile in the dark and then would pop back on for a brief time. Well, I don't know about you, but I couldn't help but think that was a sign we shouldn't go to the asylum. Paul was laughing to himself as the memory moved through his mind from his perspective. That we were being visited by some kind of spirit that was trying to dramatically get our attention. In my experience, when you receive an omen, it's best to follow the warning. Who knows what trouble that might have saved us from. You're right. We were warned for sure. And then ironically, when the headlights came back on and stopped glitching, someone passing by us must have called the police, because when I turned into a parking lot to turn around, a cop car pulled in to ask us some questions, remember? I'm not sure how it looked to you, but I tried to play it cool, and that was when I decided we had a reason not to go to the asylum. To tell you the truth, I never wanted to go, but you know, when a beautiful young woman asks you to take an adventure with her, it's usually pure instinct that takes over and you can't say no. Yeah, I wonder how those young ladies are doing. Have you heard from them at all? Well, actually, I recently had a very vivid and lucid dream that had Julia inside the dream, or with me in the dream. So I reached out to her recently, actually, after nearly 7 years of not talking, to tell her about it. Seems like her and I have had strange occurrences since we first met, even to do with dreams, since the beginning. And come to find out, after all these years, I never knew it, but she too does remember seeing that Reaper-like shadow on the car roof. But she never said anything at the time either. That's wild. And all this time I thought it was only us this whole time. Hey, wait. An idea just came to me. What if I try to ghost myself into the body of that guy standing guard outside the door over there? He must have a key to this lock. If I can get command of his body and block out his conscience, I can use his body to open the door, and maybe you can even change into his clothes and escape or something. I thought it over for a moment. I really didn't have much of a choice at this point. Although I don't usually condone this method of occupying another person's body against their will, but this was the last option. Alright, let's try it. We have nothing left to lose. I watched my astral body as Paulton went through the door to inhabit the guard's body. I quickly got back into my physical body and began preparing for the guard to come in and unlock the door. Sure enough, after a minute or so, the guard came through the door and walked to the cell. He looked at me puzzled, then grabbed the keys on his belt and began to jangle them. "Are these the keys you're looking for?" Paul said. "You've possessed an officer's body to escape prison. Is that too much for a damned saint?" The sound of Paul's words through the Peruvian guard's body was hysterical, but this was no time for fun. "Shh," I said. "You want to get us caught, man? Come on." "Alright, let's get you in some cuffs so I can walk you out the door. That'd be easier than you having to change your clothes. I don't want to look at that." From the jangling of the keys, it woke the compadre, the other prisoner in the cell next to mine. "Oh, so you can't listen to my story, but you hear keys like Pavlov's dog, hey?" "Alright, come here," said Paul, as he took out the cuffs. "Hey man, make sure you have the keys before you put those damn things on me, okay?" "Yeah, sure bro, let me check." As Paul checks his pockets, the prisoner begins to get restless. He starts asking questions in a foreign language Paul and I both don't know. "Hey, I got him." Paul opens up his hands and I see a set of keys inside. Paul holds up the keys and begins to cuff me and then escort me to the door. The prisoner is still yelling. "Hey brother," Paul says, yelling back to the prisoner, "your time will come. You just need better friends." We are cautiously walking through the police station and I say, "Not just a friend or a saint, but a hero for sure. Thanks for helping me get out." As we're both looking around nervously, Paul replies, "We're not out yet, Matt, so be careful with wishful thinking. Oh, and if you ever say something like that again, I will never help you again. In fact, I might just leave you here, so vulnerable you would be." "Hey pal, what did I do to you?" I say. Paul stops inside the guard's body and yells, "It's not pal." The people around us look awkwardly as Paul grabs my cuffed arms and keeps walking me out the front door. Well, that was a good idea. What is this guard's name? 1 week and I never even noticed. Who cares? Let's go into this doorway here. I'm gonna uncuff you, then you take off to get your treasure box, alright? I will send a message to Ezekiel to arrange for you to get back home safely and without any fuss. Hang tight. I will be in touch as soon as I can. Now go, Matt. Be safe." And with that, Paul uncuffed me and I tried my best to casually walk away and stay out of sight. Hopefully the treasure was still where I had hidden it. Hopefully I can hide myself for a time and get home safe. Now, I didn't see it, but a few minutes after I was freed, Paulton unhinged himself from the body of the guard and went back to the ether of the astral realm, and to his delight, seeing the shock and surprise of the police guard who suddenly blinked out from his work post to the corner doorway outside. Was it ghosts? Was it aliens? Was it a time lapse? No, just two friends having a good time, nonchalantly risking their lives. We should thank them. Maybe even a tip. Or a coffee would suffice. Do you think Matt makes it back home in time to perform a wedding and minister a funeral? Which one comes first? That's next time. For now, rest assured, the treasure is safe, even though we know not what it is yet. But soon, we will return.
Tune in for next week's episode of The Damned Saints. Until then, be true, be you, and be aware. There is no fate but what you create. I am the messenger, the Damned Saint.